And this is where I think of another story because everybody wants a simple answer. Oh, well, when I get to to retirement, where should I withdraw from? And I'll tell you this, a lot of times, but not all the time, I like to have Roth assets sit longer than other assets, so have it be a bucket we don't withdraw from for a while because tax-free growth, right? I want our aggressive assets in the Roth bucket, and I want that to grow tax-free as long as we can. Usually dollars we touch at the end, towards the end of the plan, because then we've maximized that tax-free growth. We've got, our more aggressive bucket, and we're growing, so those stocks can, increase and grow tax-free. But I think about this year and, thinking about that couple of clients, right? They're retired, and we actually recommend that they pull from Roth. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep, pulled from Roth because there's specific income limits and eligibility thresholds that we were trying to keep them underneath. Successfully trying, because we used Roth as a flexibility bucket earlier in life because there were dramatic, like 5-figure financial consequences of going over a limit.
Because of healthcare expenses.
Yeah. ACI premium subsidies.
Yep. And so we were trying to control their income that year, right? And if we stayed below this threshold, then they saved and they didn't even know this, but what was it, $10,000?
Yep, a little
A
over
year
$10,000
in
in
healthcare
annual
premiums?
premiums. Yep.
Yeah. So a little over $10,000 a year for their healthcare premiums going forward, if we could just keep them under this certain threshold. So we said, oh, okay, well, because Roth doesn't affect your ordinary income, let's pull from there instead of, we had been pulling from a couple other buckets.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, I mean, I mentioned as a general point earlier, but that I think underscores really nicely the imperative, I'll say, to run and rerun models based on legislative changes, because it was a big question mark as to what ACA subsidies would look like going into 2026 up until this summer. And there was still a question mark even after that if there might be like a last minute bill to extend the graded subsidies, but no. We're returning to cliff in 2026, and so there's really big financial consequences for ending up narrowly on one side or the other side of the cliff. So yeah, if you're not watching that or looking at that, you can run your plan off a cliff. I mean, in this couple's case, they were still going to retire, but with a lot more money paid in healthcare premiums if they weren't watching it. So
Yeah, and so that's where it's an evolving relationship, and there's in-year analysis, but when we are inputting these variables into our simulation, into our calculator, we try to look as long term as we can, but then also I just bring that story up because there is in-year analysis that we can change and modify, but we have to both look in-year and long term, as far as we can, right? There's some things we don't have a crystal ball, but we can run really good analysis with inputting a variety of variables. And again, Monte Carlo, it'll crunch those numbers faster than I could punch in on a calculator because it's showing 1,000 scenarios going wrong and giving you a percentage of success out of those 1,000 scenarios.
yeah. So that's a good example of how it works in retirement, or how it can really help to be running these multiple analyses in retirement. We've also got a good story of how this can shape the way that you accumulate, right? Back to the original question of how much should I contribute to my 401k?
Well, yeah, we work with a lot of accumulators, and I think of multiple people come to mind right now, but just thinking about, oh, how much should I add to my 401k? In the accumulation phase, when we're running these long-term retirement analysis and projections, we were able to help, I think of this amazing mid-30 career, high-performing female client of ours, and she was doing an amazing job saving, but we were just saving in less desirable or efficient places. And so we were able just to reroute where she was saving, the different kinds of accounts, the different tax wrappers, different buckets for where she was accumulating. She's saving the same percentage, but we just changed, where that was actually going. Not just the investments, but we're talking, the tax wrapper, the account type. And we were able to get her retiring in her 40s instead of 50s, with maintaining the same lifestyle number. And so I think that goes to show just there's extensive planning in the accumulation phase, and of course withdrawal phase gets complex as well. But so many clients I can think of who are really, really motivated. It's again, it's not a simple answer, but there are tactical things we'll do each year of like, hey, you know what, this year we actually need to change from Roth to pre-tax in your 401k. We're gonna rebalance the investments. We're gonna, add more to this brokerage account because we're on track to retire early. We're gonna, everything just starts to come together. Or hey, this change in the tax code, so we're gonna, do this. Or I think of clients too, just lifestyle changes. Hey, I know you want to take a sabbatical from work this year, so we're going to change a bunch of things. We're going to definitely switch, a couple different tax levers. We're going to maybe even implement a Roth conversion because we're going to be in a low income for this year. Or just different lifestyle changes that affect the plan and helping a client keep more of their money.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, we've said it before in other podcast episodes, but a lot of times you know, especially when you're younger and accumulating, you're not walking a razor thin line between, am I going to retire happily or am I not going to? It's more about, am I going to retire more flexibly with more money, with more ability to be generous, with time, treasure, talent, right? And so it's like good financial planning is about maximizing for many people. And it's fun and exciting to do that for people.